Okay, as you can see, we are not in the garage. We are in my kitchen. Family is out, and we're at the tail end of a winter storm. It was, I think it's probably 15 below out right now. It was 20 below this morning. And the garage was a balmy 26 degrees. So even with my heater in there, I'm not going to run the heater because the best I'll probably get is like maybe 45 degrees or 50 degrees. So I thought I would just bring stuff in here since the house is empty and do the alignment on this. So I talked to the owner. Owner is opting to not do anything beyond the lamps, the protection circuit, and an alignment. And if something comes up as a part of the alignment, then that'll have to be addressed, but no recap or anything like that at this point in time. So I pulled down the service manual, the alignment procedures. We're going to do the audio adjustment. So we're going to start with a voltage adjustment. We've got a voltmeter between terminal 802 and 803 on the protection board, and we're going to adjust R, or resistor, 809 for 35 volts DC. You can see this is 802. So 802 is here. 803 is kind of underneath the tuning wheel, and the trim pot we're going to adjust is right there. So I'm going to turn this on. And we're supposed to have 35 volts. We'll give that a minute. I may have to get a different, oh no, that'll work. All right, 35 volts. And I'm using a metal screwdriver because my alignment tool is broken. So I need to buy a new one. So we'll adjust that down to 35. And that might be as good as it gets. All right, 35 volts. So alignment procedure number 1, or step 1, we have the voltage adjustment done. All right, so now we're going to do DC offset. Let me, I'm going to pause real quick, get it set up. I'm just going to go directly to speaker terminals back there, and we'll pick up after I've moved everything. All right, so what we're looking for, we're going to set DC offset right now. We should have 0 volts. So the Marantz is on, and we're going to measure across the speaker terminals. We're looking for 0. We're going to adjust. Now the manual says R762, which I believe is that channel. This channel is R761, which is this pot right here. We've got 47. We have 47 millivolts. We should have 0. So let's, gosh, that's just dangerous. I really don't like not being able to work in my garage with my actual tools, and that's not adjusting it at all. Oh, it's this one. Okay. Sorry, I had the wrong one. So here we've got it down to 0.7. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to leave that like that. Okay, so now we're going to do the idle current adjustment. I'm going to have to move the pins between J753 and 754. Then we're going to rotate R763 counterclockwise, rotate it clockwise until we get 5 millivolts DC. So let me reposition the jumpers. We'll do this channel. I'll repeat this process for the other channel, and we'll call this hopefully good. So let me move these, and then we'll do the idle current adjustment. Okay, so this is going to be really tricky to do from my kitchen table. There's an error. This should not be 53 and 54. This should be 54 and 60, right? And they're basically pins. I've got negative on up here on this side of the board, and then red goes to the pin on the other side of the board. And we're going to be turning that second trim pot. Again, I am sorry, this is not ideal, but there's nothing else that I can do because it's so stupidly cold out, which is what I keep saying. But I should have 5 millivolts. So I'm adjusting the other trim pot, the one that was towards the inside. So you can see it. Oh, trimming down, trimming down. This is not my favorite receiver to adjust DC offset and bias on. Well, it looks like the best I can do is 12.6, which means I got to do some work on this amp board. You know, I'm going to go through do my offset adjustment first again, make sure that's good, and then I'll come back and do bias just to make sure that I didn't move something, which I was kind of turning a couple of these pots, so probably shouldn't have done that. So let me double check this and come back and let you know what I found. Well, poop. That's all I can say. So, I mean, it's not horrible, but in looking over a couple of threads on Audio Karma, it appears that maybe a 10 millivolt bias adjustment setting is preferred over the 5 specified in the manual. And I could get the left channel to bias without any issue, but this right channel, the lowest I could get it to go is 20. So I'm thinking probably the bias transistor needs to be replaced. So anyway, this is where we're sitting now. This has been running for probably 30 minutes, and it just seems to want to sit at 20. So there will likely be a follow-on. Again, I need to go to the owner and say, okay, here's what it is. Here's what we're dealing with. Here's what I suspect might happen if we don't address it. But thank you, Ralph. Dog just hacked. But again, it's always, you know, the owner can choose to do what they want to do with it. So you'll either see a follow-on where I go in and I do some work to the amplifier board, or the owner just may say, no, I'm going to listen to it and cross my fingers. So anyway, I think that's all I'm going to do on the 2270 for right now. So this will either be the end of this little segment, or series, I should say, or you may see another segment. So as always, if you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Hopefully, actually, you're probably watching this in May or June. I'm filming it in January, so anyway, hopefully it's warmer and nicer. See you in the next one. Well, as you can probably guess, I have somehow deleted the footage of going in and fixing this bias issue. Not sure what happened. I was moving, well, one day I was moving files off the camera onto my PC, and Windows Explorer freaked out. So I don't know if that's the day it happened and I just didn't, I thought it moved over and it didn't, and I formatted the camera memory, which I do once I move files over, or I just formatted the camera's memory without moving it over. But either way, I've lost that footage. So what I did is I went out to Audio Karma. I did a search, bias issues with Marantz 2270, because I wasn't way off. And I want to see, okay, what's the component that's likely the cause? And after kind of sifting through several different posts, I found one, and I'm going to include the thread title here, and what the not the OP, but one of the people that actually answered the question about the bias issue recommended replacing R784 and 785 on the amplifier boards with 5.6 ohm resistors. So I went out to Mauser. I didn't have any. I had 5.6 ohm resistors, but they were half watt. I think it's a 1 watt resistor, but check the service manual. I ordered a 2 watt for each one of these, and I did it on both boards. So anyway, once I replaced 784 and 785, I could adjust bias just fine. And I set it to 10 millivolts versus the 5, I think, that the service manual indicated, and that was based upon information that was in that thread. So your mileage may vary. Again, you can go and review this thread if you run into this particular issue. But that's what I chose to do, and I was able to dial in the bias just fine. And then what frustrates me is I actually, followed up with, and after I put the the receiver back in the cabinet, and it was, looked really good. And I do have one image that I'll post out here that because it wasn't my receiver, it was 402 Vinyls. They did take a picture and put it out on their social media page, and the receiver sold within a week. So, and so far, everything's been great with it, and it ran in the shop that whole week with 0 issues. So anyway, I guess kind of a bummer that I couldn't find that footage. If I ever do, maybe I'll revise or edit this video and re-release it. But as of right now, I'm going to call this project done because the receiver's already been sold off and it's in a new home. So as always, if you like what you see, like it, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.